Hey everybody, it's Tara here with Beyond This Reality, and I wanted to come and talk about the work that I do with my clients. I have most of my clients are adults, but occasionally there's kids. And really what the work is behind everything is tapping into the essence of who you are and following your own internal guidance system in order to create the life that is the greatest possible with the most ease. So how many of you feel like you've gone from rule book or teacher to parent to teacher to boss to self-help book in order to try and find the way forward and that would create the most in your life, whether it's the most money, the greatest relationships, and so on. And yet, every time you turn around, somebody's telling you that you're doing something wrong, that you need to change something, or you're doing everything wrong or mostly wrong, and that if you just did it this way and then you do it that way, and it might not even feel comfortable in your body, and yet you force yourself to do it the way that they're saying. And you get so used to turning off what your body awareness is telling you that you're more comfortable listening to somebody else and being restricted or being channeled in or being like almost blindfolded and told to walk on a tightrope, that you stop being in awareness of what is actually possible if you were tuning in to yourself. Here is the wild and wonderful thing. Our body has amazing awareness. And yes, this is intuition, and yet it's beyond intuition. And so I help people to move out and unwrap and unravel from all of the shoulds and the have-tos and the rights and the wrongs and the pros and cons lists so that they innately just know in an instant like what is for them, like a contribution to them in the future that they desire, and what is actually contracting and against and like will deteriorate the future that you desire. Because you could come across two really wonderful options, right? And yet one of them is actually going to be destructive, and you can sense it inside your body. Which one is actually empty or even has toxicity in it? And then the other one, which might even look lesser of a good thing, it's filled with the energy that will propel you forward. And if you just take that one step, all of a sudden, like so much opens up in your life, whether it's in your relationships or in your relationships and your business and your body. Like we can be taking steps within ourselves that burst the bubble. And then so many things start to transform and change in our life. So I teach people how to tune into that. How do I do it? I do it through an intuitive body process where I actually touch the head, touch the upper chest, the stomach, the feet, sometimes the knees and the hands. And I really awaken your body's awareness. So I'm really putting my hand here, and together we're co-creating a space where you welcome your energy to come forward and to speak to you. And we welcome it to fill your entire body. So this is why we don't focus on limitations and problems and what's overwhelming you. Because when we try to remove those, what leaves is a space. And then when we go out into the world, we go and we pick up more of those limitations, doubts, and fears and all of that. And then we put those back into the space. But when we take the core of us and we invite it to expand, so the essence, the light, and the awareness of us, and we ask it to expand, what ends up happening is in the expansion, the things that are not for us, those doubts, lies, limitations, either transform and melt into power, or they just fall off. And so then you start to be attracting, and you go out into the world, and because you're filled with this light, you start attracting those things that are in alignment with that. So as you're filled with your own light, you find things that are going to be a contribution, and then you start to choose them, and your senses say, choose that, choose that, choose that, and you really start to be it rather than thinking, should I choose that? And you move out of the space of this rule book that somebody else wrote that might have worked for their own life, and it might have even worked for a couple other people's lives, but somehow it just doesn't work for yours. Have you felt that way? Have you felt like if only I would just be able to follow this, if I would only be able to create music this way, create art that way, be an athlete this way, do business that way, do a relationship that way, but I just can't quite muster it up. Like there's somehow something's getting in the way. You want to know what's getting in the way? You are getting in the way, because you have an awareness that if you were to tap into what's inside of you and what you know and who you are and what's available for you, you would create so much more. The other thing that's getting in the way is you are getting wrapped up. And so you're tripping over yourself trying to be a boxed up sheet on a shelf instead of actually being the sheet that's been taken out of all the packaging, all the rules and regulations and shoulds and shouldn'ts, taking it out and actually popping it out, you know, like giving it air and then putting it on a bed and allowing it to be what it is. Are you willing to be way more than a sheet, but are you willing to be pulled out of the packaging? Are you willing to come out, be a little bit messy for a little while, and then actually breathe into and stretch into the capacities that you have? I hear a lot of people who tell me that they're overwhelmed, I actually think. And everybody that I work with is actually quite underwhelmed. They're underwhelmed because they're doing so much with so little of who they are. And if they actually came out and became who they were, they could do even more. But it would be different things. It would be things that were contributory to their life, to the people around them, to their body, to their being. And so when we're so underwhelmed with our life, when we're so tied up and overwhelmed with responsibility rather than being, our life tends to be lackluster, mundane, colorless, worthless, lifeless. And I really invite people to emerge into a full color life. So if that's something that you're looking for, please feel free to reach out to me at Tara McCullum. It's not quite that. It's tara.mccullum@gmail.com or beyondthisreality.com. Thanks so much. And I hope you do reach out so that you can learn about your internal guidance system and what your rule book is and how you can create the most incredible life going forward and emerge into your full color life. I can't talk anymore. Talk to y'all later. Bye.